Hi everyone, welcome on. Let's learn this topic together. So, Microsoft Azure is a cloud computing platform. It has set up services that helps you build solutions to meet your business goals. So, it supports everything from simple to very complex and has simple web services for hosting your business presence in the cloud. And it also supports running fully virtualized computers, managing your custom software solutions. It provides a wealth of cloud based services like remote storage, database hosting, and centralized account management. It also offers new capabilities like AI and IoT focused services. So, in this series, you'll cover cloud computing basics, be introduced to some of the core services that are provided by Azure, and we'll learn about the governance and compliance services. What is Azure Fundamentals? This is a series of 3 learning paths. Whether you're interested in compute, networking, or storage, learning about this is important. This includes interactive exercises that gives you hands-on experience with Azure, and many exercises provide a temporary portal called the sandbox, which allows you to practice the resources for free. Technical IT experience is not required, but having general IT is required, obviously. If you're going to begin with working with cloud or you have cloud experience, you just need to, do this course and have general interest in Azure and its cloud computing and want to earn official certification. This can help you prepare for the exam that includes 3 domain areas. Each domain area maps to the learning patterns. Okay, next, introduction to cloud computing. So in this module, you'll be introduced to some general cloud concepts. Right, so you'll start with an introduction to the cloud in general, then you'll deep dive into the concepts that are called as shared responsibility, different cloud models, and then we can explore the unique pricing method. Okay. So after completing this, you'll be able to, just learn about these. So what is cloud computing actually? So it is the delivery of computing services over the internet. This includes common IT infrastructure such as virtual machines, storage, databases, and networking. This also expand the traditional IT offerings to include things like IoT, machine learning, and AI. Okay. Because cloud computing uses internet to deliver these services, it does not have to be constrained by physical infrastructure, right? To maintain a traditional data center. That means if you need to increase your IT infrastructure, you don't have to, build a new data center. Just you can use cloud to expand. Next, describe the shared responsibility model. You must have heard of this, but you may not understand what it means or how it impacts the cloud computing. So start with a traditional corporate data center. The company is responsible for maintaining the physical space, ensuring security, and maintaining or replacing a server if anything happens, right? Company has to have a physical space and it should also ensure security, and then it can maintain or replace a server if anything goes wrong. The IT department is responsible for maintaining that infrastructure and software that's needed to keep the data center up and running. They are also responsible for keeping all the systems patched and on the correct version, right? Exactly. With the shared responsibility model, these responsibilities get shared between the provider and the consumer. Physical security, power, cooling, and network connectivity are the responsibility of the cloud provider, right? The consumer is not co- collocated with the data center, so it wouldn't make sense for the consumer to have any of those responsibilities. So at the same time, the consumer is responsible for the data and information that has to be stored in the cloud. You wouldn't want the cloud provider to be able to read your information exactly. And the consumer is also responsible for accessing the security, means you can only give access to those who think needs, right? Then for some things, the responsibility depends on the situation. If you're using a cloud SQL database, the cloud provider would be responsible for maintaining the actual database. However, you're still responsible for the data that gets ingested into the database. So if you deployed a virtual machine and then installed SQL database, you'd be responsible for database patches and updates, as well as maintaining the data and information stored in the database. Now, if you have an on-prem data center, you are responsible for almost everything. With cloud computing, those responsibilities shift. The shared responsibility Model is heavily tied into the cloud service types covered later in the learning path: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. This places the most important responsibility on the consumer, with the cloud provider being responsible for the basics of physical security, power, and connectivity. On the other end of the spectrum, SaaS places most of the responsibility with the cloud provider. PaaS being a middle ground, rests somewhere in the middle. So, responsibility is always retained by the customer. Yeah, so these are the different models. When using a cloud provider, you'll be cloud. The device and the identities. The cloud provider is always responsible as it is acting as your data center, the network, the physical host. Your service model will determine responsibility for things like operating system, network controls, applications, identity, and infrastructure. Next, define cloud models. What are cloud models? The cloud models define the deployment type of the cloud resources. So the three main cloud models are: we can have private cloud, public cloud, and hybrid cloud. Okay, so let's start with the private cloud. This is in some ways the natural evolution of a corporate data center. So it's a cloud delivering IT services over the internet that's used by only a single entity. So private cloud provides much greater control for the company and its IT department. However, it comes with obviously greater cost and fewer of the benefits of public cloud deployment. This may be hosted from your on-site data center, and it may also be hosted in a dedicated data center offsite, potentially even by a third party that has dedicated that data center to your company. Next, we have public cloud that is built, controlled, and maintained by a third party cloud provider. With a public cloud, anybody that wants to purchase the cloud services can access and use that resource, right? And the general is a key difference between public and private. Now we have hybrid as well. So this is a computing environment that uses both public and private clouds in an interconnected environment. The hybrid cloud environment can be used to allow a private cloud to search for increased temporary demand by deploying public cloud resources. Hybrid cloud can be used to provide an extra layer of security. For example, users can flexibly choose which services to keep in public cloud and which to deploy on their private cloud, right? Also, we have multi-cloud. A fourth and increasingly likely scenario is multi-cloud scenario. So here you use multiple cloud providers, maybe use different features from different cloud providers, or maybe you started your cloud journey with one provider and then you're in the process of migrating to a different provider. So that's multi-cloud, right? Regardless, in a multi-cloud environment, you deal with two or more public cloud providers and manage the resources and security in both the environments. And then is Azure Arc, is a set of technologies that helps you manage your cloud environment. This can manage your cloud environment, whether it's a public cloud solely on Azure, a private cloud in your data center, a hybrid configuration, or even, okay. Then is VMware solution. What if you're already established with VMware in a private cloud environment but want to migrate then to the public? So this lets you run your VMware in Azure with seamless integration. Okay. Next, describe the consumption-based model. So when comparing IT infrastructure models, there are two types of expenses to consider. That's capital expenditure, that CapEx, and operational expenditure, that is operation. This is one-time upfront expenditure to purchase a resource, a new building, repaving the parking lot, building a data center, or building a company vehicle are examples, right? So operation is spending money over time. Renting, leasing, or signing up for the cloud services are all examples of operation. Cloud computing falls under this because cloud computing operates on a consumption-based model. With this, you don't pay for the physical infrastructure associated with the data center, you pay for the resources that you're using. So this has many benefits: no upfront cost, no need to purchase and manage costly infrastructure, the ability to pay for more resources, right? And the ability to stop paying for resources that are no longer needed. With a traditional data center, you try to estimate the future resource needs. If you overestimate, you spend more on data center than you need to and potentially waste money. If you underestimate, your data center will quickly reach capacity. Yes, okay. So in a cloud-based model, you don't have to worry about the getting the resources needs just right. If you find that you need more virtual machines, you can add more. The demand drops, you can drop them, right? So comparing cloud pricing models, delivery over the internet by using pay-as-you-go pricing model, plan and manage, run your infrastructure, scale as your business needs changed. So this is a way of rent computer power and storage from someone else's data center, right? Instead of maintaining CPU and storage in you rent them for the time you need them. Exactly. Now is module assessment. Choose the best option. What is cloud computing? Delivery of computing services over the internet. Which cloud model use some data centers focused on providing cloud services to anyone that wants them, and some data centers that are focused on single infrastructure. Uses some data centers focused on providing to anyone that wants them. Which cloud model uses some data centers focused on providing cloud services to anyone that wants them, and some data centers that are focused on single customer? Hybrid. According to the shared responsibility model, which cloud service type places the most responsibility on the customer? Oh, wait. Most responsibility on the customer is infrastructure as a service. Hybrid. And yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, let's, subscribe the channel as well.